Hello and welcome to Commander's Keep. I'm your host for today, Dan, and we're looking once again at our upgrade in the pre-con. And I decided to show you, as a grand aspect, all the cards together that we've added in versus what we've taken out. So, without further ado, we're gonna, though I've made this all nice and neat, I'm gonna mess it all up and move out of the way. And we'll look at that in a second. So, let's talk about the cards we actually took out. So we've got a Crib Swap and a Savigny's Reclamation. Mostly because I really didn't like the idea. It was 3 drops, very much dropping at threes. We could possibly get 1 drops, 2 drops, a little bit higher. And also, for that, why would we have 7 drops if especially it's in threes? It seems very counterintuitive. And the Crib Swap, yeah, you just get a better copy, a better exile with a Path. So yeah, Path or Swords to Plowshare are both infinitely better than them in that. And that one's obviously a bit more of a interesting thing there. Okay. So the Failures Retribution and the Gate Powder Mage, we took them out. The Kithkin Wizard for the 4, which is a 3/3. Attacks return target creature card for return target creature to the battlefield. Okay, return attacks. Exile another target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its opponent's turn at the beginning of your next end step. Fair enough for Flicker, but there isn't any other Flicker or sort of enablers other than like 1 or 2 other cards. So I took that out. And this enchantment is just crap. It's just crap. We're not really working angels. It's just like it was a thrown in afterthought, really, more than else. Okay, so the Imalakir Blood Priest, which is one of our party neighbors, a cleric for miscellaneous in the black, and all it does, it burns someone for your party when it enters once, so you gain a little bit of life. Not really worth bothering. For a 2/1, it's pretty much otherwise vanilla for 2. And a Calculating Lich, though interesting, is a 6 drop for a 5/5 menace. Whenever a creature attacks one of your opponents, that player loses 1 life. Okay, so each instance of each creature you're attacking, then yes, you got a load of creatures attacking it, you can pop them, but overall it was a bit overpriced for what it was. Let's take them out. And we'll just do an honorable mention. I took this one out and put the different art for this in. Still using Aven Mind Sensor because it's broken, especially if the opponents want to search libraries, which were very much anti-search. If they're doing their tutors, you know they're going for a combo win. Once again, I was talking about this heavy cast of a Butcher Malakir. It's a 7 drop, especially if we're doing spells that say a 3-minute free or less. This just seems to kick in nowhere. I mean, you could use an enchantment effect or whatnot, but I'm sure you use something else that's equally more powerful or just generally better. The Deep Known Terramancer, yeah, I don't know. That's only any good if they're getting out lands they didn't play with spells. So otherwise, it just sits there. And it only says a plains. We've got better things in here. And a cheaper version of this. Well, not this, but something better. The Priest of Ancient Lore, yep, okay. In its battlefield, gain a life, draw a card. Fluff for 3. Overpriced. The Felissa, Fang of the Silver Quilt, yeah, I already said earlier I don't like her because she doesn't really do what we need to do. And who really cares about Inklings? This guy, though he may be a reduction on our stuff we have, but otherwise it's a 7 drop for a Changeling, Double Striker 3/3. Fair enough, Double Strike and 3/3. But no, I would rather have something different. I mean, it hits all the types are in our party and might reduce a bit down in our other stuff, but really, we've got enough creatures, we don't need to worry. And once again, I wasn't particularly happy with a Changeling that's a 1/1. Doesn't really get any bigger. Can't be blocked or block. 1/1 for 1. Unless we give it equipment or whatnot, it's just sitting there 1/1 for 1, doing nothing. Right. Okay, I'll just do this a bit faster because I know we're dragging time here. A Magian's Ascendant, a Corpse Augur, a Rumor Gatherer. We'll do these 3 at a time. Okay. Alliance enters battlefield. You square 1, and if it happens the second time, we get to draw a card. Either way, it's punk. 2/1 for 3. Nah, better stuff. The Cat Rogue that gets a wee wizard for 3 for a 3/2. That you can sack it once when it enters battlefield. Short of us pinging it back and forth, it's not really doing anything else. The Corpse Augur, yeah, it's okay. I mean, like I said, I don't really like losing life for returning. So you want to do returns that don't have a deficit as much or more aggressive. So there is better things. There's a 4/2 for 4, but yeah, That's a no. The Blood-Soaked Champion, Irregular Cohorts, and the Solemn Recruit. The Solemn Recruit only really works because we're not really bringing things from our play table back on. Again, we're not flickering anything, so as a flicker, so output, she's not exactly that great if we're not doing that, because I'm not. A Blood-Soaked Champion. Yeah, I've got another 2-1 for 1 in the deck because it's also a warrior, but better than this one. Regular Cohort. It's 4-drop for 2-2 that gives another 2-2 out, which champion. I know we'll get into fill our parts of our party with that, but no, better stuff. Okay, let's just do this really quickly. I already mentioned before the lands: Sinkhole Snowfield, Myriad Landscape, Mortuary Mire. Get rid of them. Ash Barrens. Then a swamp, a plains, a plains, a plains, a swamp, a swamp. Get rid of them. Saucing up some more exciting land that aren't basic. A Skullclamp, which to be fair, we're sitting on that was a fairly good card to cut, but I don't know, you've got to make cuts somewhere. Bygone Bishop, like I said, we're not doing 3-drops, and who really cares for investigation tokens? The High Priest of Penance, because a 2-drop for a 1-1 that as soon as it trades off destroys 1 permanent. It's not doing much for 2, it's just sitting there, nothing. And the Order of the White Clay, which is an untapped thing for 3 or less, but like I say, we're not having extra 3 or less. And you saw from that in the cards I've caught, the 7-drops. How is that working if they're all meant to be 3 or less? Right, so that's the cards we took out. Alright. And we'll just briefly go through the cards we put in. Without any further ado, we'll start with these cards I just went. Wait, I know it was all nice and easy for me initially, but you know I thought it'd make it more difficult. A Sunlit Marsh, a land. It's a swamp plains, and it's battlefield tapped. I don't exactly like tapped land, but it's both of them together, so hits that point. The Survivor's Encampment. That can tap as mana, colorless, and you can tap an untapped creature you control. Add mana 1 of any and mana color to the pool. Another one of our replacements, a Human Wizard, a 3-drop Dream Stealer. When this deals combat damage to a player, that player discards that many cards, equal to the combat damage. So it's 1-2, you can obviously make it bigger, especially with our commander pumping it out, and also it has Eternalize, so you can bring it back from our graveyard for 6. And we make a copy of a 4-4 zombie that is basically the copy of this. And because we are using interesting cards, not all of them are legendary, a Blade of Selves, because the idea of several different cards coming in and play and attacking all our opponents, yeah, I couldn't argue with that. A Tenacious Underdog, which is a miscellaneous in the black, 3-2, which it's when you cast it, you can catch it from the graveyard using its Blitz ability. So, you know, you do Blitz, you can pay 2 life. Like say it's a 3-2 for 2. It keeps coming back, recursion. Because we moved a pretty useless enchantment, we'll put a really cool one in. Smothering Teeth. 4-drop. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If that player doesn't, you create a treasure token. Great stuff. Great card. Using white, we'll always run it. Sword of Plowshare. Can't really argue with that. Does what it says on the tin. And this is one of the more interesting ones. A Kalitas Blood Traitor of Get, which is a 2 miscellaneous and a double black 3/4 lifelinker, which has this lovely bit: when a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile that card and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token on the battlefield. Also, you can sacrifice another vampire or zombie and put 2 +1/+1/+1s on Kalitas, Traitor of Get. Really good card. We don't have an epic amount of zombies, but if our opponent's stuff dies, then yeah. Otherwise, we've got a 3/4 for 4 warrior vampire lifelink. Can't argue it. A Venerated Loxodon, which is Convoke, which is normally a 5-drop, but obviously we're tapping stuff. Anything you convoke to tap to play it gets a +1/+1 counter on it. And it's already a 4/4 for 5. Another wee win con, an Angel of Destiny, which is 3 miscellaneous double white for 2/6 double striking flyer. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, you and that player gain that much life instead. At the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 more life than your starting life total, Each player Angel of Destiny attack this turn loses again. So imagine that with our Myriad Sword, and they've all taken damage. They all lose because it attacks. And I've obviously can keep it alive. We do char and go copy. Kill all 3 opponents. Other than us. That's the joys about Myriad. Like Myriad, and I use it properly, it works. A Glory Bound Initiative, or Initiate, a Miscellaneous and a white for a 3/1. You may exert this, so when when it attacks, you can exert it, and so it wouldn't untap in its next untap phase. And it would get a +1/+3, and gain lifelink until end of turn, if we exert it. It's a 3/1 for 2. It could become a 4/2, 4/4, just for exerting it. And why wouldn't we? This is the guy that replaced the other one, a Gutterbones. Fundamentally the same bring back. But this one can block. It enters the battlefield tapped. However, if your opponents take any damage during the turn, only during the turn and only if the opponents, so they've taken damage in your turn, and you can go, hey, back again. The other one is you have to have attacked, so sometimes you don't want to attack. The Elias Kin Sadistic Pilgrim, a black and a white for a 2/2 death touch. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses life. Another wee Blood Arts effect. A Leonin Arbiter, which is a miscellaneous and a white for a 2/2. Players can't search the libraries. Any player may pay 2 for that player to ignore this effect until end of turn. So yeah, we're locking down libraries, especially if they don't have any mana to deal with it. Otherwise, their searches are going to cost them more. Going to have to pay an extra 2, which, it's always funny. And let's do some of the lands. So a Shattered Sanctum, which enters battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more lands. It's white or black. A Delicious Godless Shrine, shiny foil one. As God of Shine enters battlefield, you may pay 2 life. If you don't enter battlefield tap, so good old Shockland, very good stuff. Opposition Agent, like I said before, we're going to control people's searches, so pretty much anti-search. We'll play an Opposition Agent to go, nah. I say, no, you can get a basic land. I will search for your basic land. That's what you're getting. And it happens every time. So basically, we'll lock down their searches, which we're just going to laugh. We're just going to laugh. Like I said before, we're going to use the Avian Mind Sensor, but we use the Cooler Art one. If an opponent would search a library, that player only looks at the top 4 cards of the library instead. So a lot of library search hate. Mostly because if you're playing against combo, they're looking for the cards to win. They don't want that to happen. A Grey Heavens, enters battlefield, square 1, cap it for colours. Add 1 mana of any colour amongst the legend creature cards in your graveyard. So yeah, got legendaries in the graveyard. Reasonable card from Lord of the Rings set. A Ashran Foremost, which is a miscellaneous double white for a 2/2. Double strike. When it enters the battlefield or attacks another target warrior creature you control, gains double strike until end of turn. So yeah, double strikey stuff. Put double strike on a Achilles and laugh away. Gonna kill things and we're gonna get zombies. Things will die and we'll get zombies. Okay, an Assault Incessor, which is a miscellaneous white and black for a 3/2 first strike menace. As a chain sword, whenever a creature an opponent controlled dies, that player loses 2 life. Yeah, like I say, that's from the 40k pre-con. A friend of mine has let me take bits and pieces from that. He liked the pre-con. It's a good pre-con, but it's missing a little bit something. It was a bit too slow, even with one of my unoptimized other decks. Just sort of crushed it. Okay, so for a little bit more of instant removal, Faith, it's not really removal, it's more recovery. So it's Faith Reward, so 3 miscellaneous and a white. Return to the battlefield all permanents cards in your graveyard that were put there from this battlefield this turn. So if someone board wipes, you put them all back. That's what we want. Okay, Celeste the Living Saint, which is 4 miscellaneous and a white. For a flying lifelinker, and she has Healing Teals. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature card with mana X or less from the graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. Yes, so recovery and a lot of life gain there. She's great. She's a life gainer on the stick. Minimum getting a 3 power back from the graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, it's to the battlefield. It's not to your hand, so it's even better. Also from the 40k pre-con, really good card. It's very good as a commander deck as well, or commander if you were going white weenie, because she's just a house. A house. There's only one colour, but yeah. Okay, well, like I said, we're talking about that gnome we replaced earlier. So the Withered Wayfarer, a white on its own for a human nomad cleric, which has the ability of a white, tap it, search your library for a land, card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Activate only if an opponent controls more lands than you do. So yeah, they've got more lands, we go, woohoo, land to my hand. And if we've not played a land per turn, we go land to hand, play, even better. Unclaimed territory. As unclaimed territory enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Like say we've got 4 creature types, or 5, I think that's 5 for a party. And then it has tap for colors, or we can add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this to cast only the creature spell type of the chosen type. So if we need a rogue or whatnot, we're going to say rogues. We're going to say wizards. We're going to say thieves. And thieves isn't a card type, but you get the gist. A Horde Robber, which is a miscellaneous and a black for a 1/3. When this deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Can't really argue with that. A Shadow Rite Priest. It's a miscellaneous and a white for a 2/2. Other clerics get a +1/+1. And you pay 5, and you can sacrifice another cleric. Search your library for a black creature card, put it on the battlefield, and then shuffle. Good card. A Cabal Stronghold. Tap it for a colorless, or you can pay 3 and you tap it for each basic swamp you control. You get a swamp for that. Very good. Another more interesting one that I don't know if anyone possibly want to play this one, but I quite like it. It's a 4-drop for a 4/3. It's the Magus of the Abyss. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, destroy target non-land creature, target non-artifact creature that player controls of their choice. It can't be regenerated. A Pain Seer, which is a miscellaneous and a black for a 2/2. Inspired. When this becomes untapped, reveal the top card of your library and put that card in your hand. Lose life equal to that card's converted mana cost. And the last one, a Path to Exile. Right. Okay. So I think that these upgrades have been really helpful. I managed to add them, and I've only played at least 3 games with this, and I managed to at least win one of them, so I wasn't really arguing with it. So yeah, like I say, it's really cool. If you have any other suggestions, or if you will have any sort of suggestions for videos, especially if we're deciding to continue with upgrading a precon, maybe suggest in the comments what sort of precon you would want us to upgrade, take apart, add a little toolbox to it, make it a little bit better. Of course, feel free to like and subscribe. We clearly would like to grow, like all businesses do, I suppose. You scratch that point, but regardless, if you want to let us know by supporting the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing any videos you see, and if you have any sort of burning questions or anything you want to let us know, feel free to leave in the comments. I'm your host for the day, Danny, and see you later.